Hi everyone, on today's episode I got some bird dropping spider eggs. So about 6 months ago I was out in the backyard and I found these lying on the concrete. Now I had no idea what they were, so I used that Google image search and I found out that they're bird dropping spider eggs. Now as most of you know, I live in Australia and we can get some pretty big spiders down here. So when I found out that these were spider eggs, I got a little worried, because if a spider can lay an egg this big, it must be massive. Now out of curiosity, I did cut one open, and as it turns out, it's just a sack to hold hundreds of smaller eggs. And after doing some research, it turns out that the female spider only reaches about 12 millimeters in diameter, or about half an inch, and the male spider is only 2.5 millimeters. Now before getting creative with these eggs, I wanted to make sure they weren't going to hatch, so I left them in this container for 6 months. And as you can see, none of them have hatched, so I think it's safe to say that I can now use them in a project. Now I'm sure some of you might be asking yourself, why would you want to do that? Well, I think it's really fascinating that a little 12mm spider was able to make these perfectly round egg sacs, and I think it might be really cool if I can preserve them forever. Now the first step in preserving the eggs is to pour myself a little base layer. While that base is in the pot curing, I'm going to glue these sacs together, and for that I'm going to use some UV resin. Now that the base is cured, we can glue down these sacs. So now that all my eggs are glued down, it's time to get my resin ready, and the resin I'll be using for this one is called River Pour. Now the reason I'm using River Pour is that it cures at a lower temperature, therefore it shouldn't damage my eggs. Now all I have to do is leave this to cure. We'll check back on it in a couple of days. Have a look at how perfect this casting is. No air bubbles, crystal clear. I can't wait to turn this one. If I can get it out of the cup. There we go. Now let's get it on a waste block. Just missed the sack there. I think I need to give it a sand and a polish. I've decided I'm going to display these eggs on an LED base. Now to make it a little more special, I'm going to engrave the bottom of it using my laser pecker. So after sanding and polishing this egg, I noticed that some of the sacs had little holes in the side of them, and after doing some research, it turns out that these spiders have already hatched, which I think is pretty neat. Now let's check it out.